WTIM.
Welcome into the WTIM Morning Show here on your information station and brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and joining us in this segment, we have Professor Emeritus of Political Science with the University of Illinois Springfield, Dr. Kent Redfield. Dr. Redfield, good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, I am doing just fine. Good to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us as always. And Dr. Redfield has brought us plenty to talk about here today. We're going to do our best to get to as much of it. And it starts with the ballot being set for the 2026 March primary. We had the general primary on November 10th. And well, you've got just a great lineup. I was reading through it before the start. And now we're going to tell the listeners about it, of just what's going on with our statewide elections. Where would you like to start with that topic?
Well, we can kind of start with what the lineup looks like, because in Illinois we have a situation. We require candidates to file nominating petitions to show that you're a serious candidate. You can go out and collect signatures and get on the ballot. If you can't just get on the ballot by writing a letter to filing a piece of paper with the State Board of Elections. And so once you get past the deadline, which is November 10th, then we know who's qualified for the ballot. Now, not everybody stays on the ballot, but you really can't add people after that. And so if you look at, we have an open U.S. Senate seat because Senator Durbin has chosen not to run for re-election. And so right now there are three, strong candidates vying for the Democratic place on the ballot. And that primary is going to take place in, March 17th. So you're actually, even though we're seeing, some TV commercials, even downstate TV commercials for people that are running for the U.S. Senate, we're a long way from that March 17th primary. But if the people with money are going to be running ads, so you've got the Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, and then two congressmen, Congressman Roger Christomorphy and Congressman Robin Kelly, all incumbents who are not going to run for their current position or running for the U.S. Senate. Now, the Republicans had a hard time getting someone to run, that would mount a serious campaign. And so Don Tracy, who is from Central Illinois, and a former chair of the state Democratic Party, is running, the only really serious candidate on the Republican side.
Okay.
That's going to be a pretty common picture as we look through the statewide offices. The Republican Party is in a downtime at the moment. They don't hold any of the statewide offices. They only have 3 of the congressional seats. They have lost, their billionaire funders, Ken Griffin and to a large extent Richard Uihlein. Nothing is permanent in politics, and so the fact that the Democrats have got, a pretty healthy advantage right now in candidates and raising money doesn't mean it'll last that way forever. But that's and that pattern, you can see that in terms of the nominees for governor. Pritzker is running for re-election. Darren Bailey is running on the Republican side, who lost pretty substantial loss to Pritzker 4 years ago. There's a conservative policy advocate who's connected with an organization called Wire Points. Ted Dabrowski is running. Then there's a real estate and video gaming person who's contributed $1 million campaign, but really doesn't have much of a presence. And so, on the other constitutional officers, there really are, we've got incumbents running for Secretary of State, Treasurer, and Attorney General that really don't have any serious challengers. And then the incumbent Treasurer, Susan Mendoza, is not running. She's probably going to run for mayor of Chicago. And so we have, three state legislators on the Democratic side running, and some Republican candidates with no prior political experience. So that's the picture that you get from looking at this. The Democrats have a farm team that they can go out. People want to move up, and the Republicans are in a position, where they don't have incumbent congressmen or, that might want to, to step up. There was talk that, Darren LaHood, the congressman who is from the Peoria area, would be a good candidate to run for governor statewide. He declined and, is running for re-election from a safe seat. And so it is just a situation right now where the Democrats have a big advantage in candidates and money, and the Republicans are, to a certain extent, scrambling to find people to run for these statewide offices.
Well, it sounds like they better scramble a little quicker here, considering Secretary of State, Treasurer, Comptroller, Attorney General. It's not looking too strong there in that regard. And as you'd mentioned there with some of those Republican candidates for governor too, I mean, yes, Darren Bailey rings a bell, but for Ted Dabrowski and also Rich Heidner there's just not a whole lot of, I guess, weight that is brought behind it. And so what do you make of that at this point here? Is that just the Republicans going, look, we kind of know where we're at right now? Do you think it's just a lack of funding maybe for it? Because you'd mentioned that a time or two. What do you think maybe?
It's both, both of those are factors. I mean, so 4 years ago, you had Ken Griffin, who no longer lives in Illinois, has a big hedge fund. He was backing the mayor of Joliet, or Aurora rather, Richard Austin, and we had Richard Uland, who's at the Uline Transportation, big Republican conservative donor, backing Darren Bailey. The two of them spent about $80 million, in the primary. To take, to back put somebody on the ballot against Governor Pritzker. Those two individuals are not really engaged. So Uland a little bit. Rauner, rather Griffin is no longer in Illinois. So, there's a real funding problem when you've got a candidate for governor who spent, on the Democratic side, who spent more than $100 million on each of these last two races, that has contributed easily that amount of money to the state Democratic Party. And so, the Republicans, this is a Democratic leaning state, but they are, they're really on a downside in terms of having, known names that, can say, well, I've done a good job at this office and now I want to move up. You don't get that pattern, even when you've got a race like the comptroller, which is a pretty lower profile race. I mean, it's a statewide office, but, that would be an opportunity where you assume if it's an open seat, then nobody might, there won't be as high profile of candidates, but, and we have three Republican Democratic office holders running, and no Republican filed in that race. So it's, it's just a rich get richer, poor get poorer. Again, things will turn, things always turn around, and, the pendulum swings in politics. But right now, the Republicans are, having a hard time, getting out of kind of the hole that they're in. And when you get to legislative races, their problems are, congressional and U.S. and state legislature. the problems are compounded by the fact the Democrats drew the maps, which, to their advantage.
And that's been, something that we've talked about at length before when it came to like California, and even Texas kind of joined into that conversation as well. But for us here, I definitely want to make sure we have time for some congressional elections and our downstate districts as well. So I don't want to get too stuck here, because I want to make sure we have time. But the last thing of question for you, we talked the funding, and we talked maybe just the presence right now of no farm team, as you mentioned, kind of on the baseball side of things. But has this been a trend that's been going for some time, other than just like on the political, maybe the demographic side of things, that is now kind of just coming to a head almost too?
Yeah, I mean, certainly over the last 30, 20 years, the political and the population demographics are hurting the Republicans. The Republicans' base has shifted from the northeastern suburbs, the collar counties. It really has shifted south. That most of the majority of the primary votes are in a statewide primary for Republicans are going to come from downstate, and downstate is losing population. The suburbs are growing, but the suburbs have been shifting Democratic. Part of that was over social issues, abortion, gay rights, those sorts of things that, and so the suburban Republican Party is weaker. And so, Bailey had a huge majority running for governor 4 years ago downstate, and 400,000 votes, and he still lost the state by 300,000 votes because of the Republican Party's trouble with losing part of their base in the suburbs.
So there is just not a lot of positive prospects, we'll say, for the Republican Party right now when it comes to statewide elections. But this is why we dive into things with Dr. Kent Redfield, Professor Emeritus of Political Science with the University of Illinois Springfield, to give us a better picture on this and more. We're going to come back and talk congressional elections and some of those downstate districts that have a little more bearing even on central Illinois. But we're talking statewide offices, and we're talking races, and it's going to be coming up quickly on us in March. So you're listening to WTIM, your information station, in our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville.
Your information station, WTIM.
The Lady Tornado basketball team are on 96.5 thechill.com again this season. Listen on air or online for Lady Tornado basketball and playoff games, brought to you by the Taylorville Community Credit Union, the Christian County YMCA, Rural Rentals, and Scooters Coffee.
The purple and gold are coming your way. The Taylorville Tornadoes are going to do it today.
Cold and flu season is here, and one simple step can help keep your family healthy. At SIU Center for Family Medicine in Taylorville, our team makes it easy to get your flu shot and protect the people you care about most. No long waits, no hassle, just expert care close to home. Book your flu shot today by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Stay healthy this season with SIU Medicine. Forward for you.
Promoting student success is our priority at Taylorville Schools. This is Superintendent Brandy Bruley with an invitation to discover the exceptional achievements of our students and staff during our monthly Taylorville Schools Good News segment. Join us the first Thursday of every month at 8:40 on the WTIM Morning Show on air, on the WTIM audio stream, and the WTIM video stream on Facebook and YouTube TV. Students, teachers, and administrators will share how we're fostering student excellence each day. Tune into the WTIM Morning Show for our Good News segment, and go Tornadoes.
People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, are proud to continue their long-standing sponsorship of honoring Taylorville High School Students of the Month on WTIM's many platforms on AM, FM, and streamed online, and on WMKR Genuine Country 94.3.
Hi, my name is Brian Deal, and my parents are Stephanie Deal and David Deal. I am currently in bowling and Purple Rain. And for my future plans, I plan on going to a 4-year university or college for computer science to potentially become a software engineer. My favorite subject is science because I have always been fascinated by planets and physics, and also math because I have always been good at it and I love learning different formulas.
People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, salutes these great Taylorville High School students on this honor and wish them the best in their future. People's Bank and Trust, member FDIC. The Christian County Health Department has both COVID and flu vaccines available, with both high-dose and regular-dose flu vaccines in stock. Call and make your appointment now. Get their number and more info by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Here's Dr. Pavi Gill from Springfield Clinic, Taylorville.
Lifestyle medicine is about motivating you to improve your quality of life by changing habits and behaviors.
Find out more by clicking Dr. Gill's icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
And welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show here on your information station, and brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment, Professor Emeritus of Political Science with the University of Illinois Springfield, Dr. Kent Redfield. We were talking about statewide elections and then the balance between Republicans and Democrats, those that have put themselves on the ballot. Now we turn to congressional elections in some of our downstate districts. Dr. Redfield, take us away from here.
Well, there are 5 downstate districts within, the Illinois congressional delegation. When the map was redrawn after the 2020 census, the Democrats, under the previous map, there were 6 downstate districts, and the Republicans held 5 of them. And Illinois lost the district after the new census, and the Democrats came in and drew a very, very partisan, gerrymandered map that eliminated one of those downstate districts, shifted population and territory to the north, and then drew 2 Democratic districts, one based in Rockford, Quad Cities, Peoria, another Democratic district based in starting Champaign, goes through Springfield, Edwardsville, down to Metro East, East St. Louis, 2 competitive but Democratic-leaning districts. And then everything that was left was basically carved up into 3 Republican districts, which are very, very solid. So, you're not likely to have a lot of action in those Republican districts because there are 3 incumbents. They're overwhelmingly Republican. Mary Miller would be the one that would be the name that people would probably recognize in this part of the state. Mm-hmm. Mike Boss to the south in more deep south, southern Illinois, and then Darren LaHood's district that is runs through north of Rockford all the way around, but does not touch Peoria, Bloomington, Normal, and so. This is going to be, we're going to reelect 5 incumbents, essentially. The Democrats, the Republicans tried to go after, they've made 2 runs at seeing if they could flip either of those 2 Democratic districts, in 22 and 2024. But, Sorensen and the Rockford one and Nikki Brzezinski, which is a name people would recognize in central Illinois, they really don't have, there's no national money that's interested in coming in and trying to flip, those 2 seats. There are better places elsewhere. So it is going to be a pretty boring election in the primary and the general election, as we're probably going to have 5 incumbents in pretty safe districts, particularly for the Republicans, that are going to get reelected. Yeah. The big question is, will the Republicans still be in the majority, or will the Democrats still be in the majority after the midterms? But there's not anything that's going to happen in Illinois that's going to have an impact in terms of which party controls the House of Representatives after the midterm.
So nothing too crazy shocking is coming. A whole lot of incumbents likely to maintain their seats. And now we're getting a taste. We already got a taste of those redrawn maps, of course, but now it's back around and we're getting an additional taste, a second helping at this point here. Well, Dr. Redfield, thank you so much for joining us. And man, we need so much more time when you come on because we still have so much we could talk about here. But thank you for doing so as always.
Oh, certainly. Always good to talk.
Always. Well, Dr. Kent Redfield, Professor Emeritus of Political Science with the University of Illinois Springfield, joining us here on the WTIM Morning Show.
The U.S. may be having some discussions with Venezuela's leader. It's a potential diplomatic avenue as the U.S. further builds up its military presence in the region. Police in Nigeria say gunmen have abducted 25 girls from a high school. One staff member at the school was killed in the attack. This is SRN News.
I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family.